Welcome everybody to another episode of the Nerd Continuity, where we talk about design, development, and all the other crazy sort of stuff that we find online. I'm your host, Alex, and I have a sore throat, and with me, as usual, my co-host, Chris Perko. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. As you can see from my voice, that it's coming from the bottom of a barrel. I have a terrible sore throat. I don't know why. Probably because just a couple of hours ago, I recorded 4 tutorials at once. And I destroyed my throat. Like
You're crazy, sir.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I think I should go to like singing classes, like those voice classes that they teach you how to use the diaphragm and not the throat, because I'm terrible at that. But whatever. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. I wanted to start off by congratulating you on your wedding.
Oh, thank you.
And also, I don't know what you call it, but the YouTube, you can now like join your channel on top of subscribing.
Yeah, that's true.
So congratulations on that, because not many channels have that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a surprise actually, because I was that's, I think if I'm not wrong, it's called membership. Like you can just like pay $4.99 a month to have a membership, and you can have extra stuff that are silly, just like you have more badges on the chat. Like it's stupid things that they add zero values. They literally. But I knew that YouTube was slowly rolling out these new features for channels to with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and up. So not below 100,000 subscribers. But yeah, that I got a notification and I activated, and actually a little sneak peek, I got a notification that I can activate the merchandise. So if I upload design for t-shirts and hats and mugs and stuff like that, then that thing is all like handled by YouTube, the payment, the shipment, and all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
Like they take really cool. I think they take a huge cut off of it, but at least like I don't have to deal with that on a side on another website. It's all integrated all together. So yeah, I think next week I'm gonna try to publish something, some nice design with the t-shirt.
Some super simple shirts.
Super simple, yes. Yeah, still going on. Like I haven't said that in probably a year or two, but like yeah, users still comment that. Still let me know that my English is terrible. So that's great. Like I love it. Yeah, it's okay. On the same note of congratulations to you for your series, like a game development, intro to game development series was picked up by what was that? Code Academy? No.
Free Code Camp.
Free Code Camp. How that happened?
Yeah. I honestly don't know, because that series has very low viewer numbers on my channel. One of the guys from Free Code Camp reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we'd like to take your videos, put them all together in one video, and put them on our channel." You know, they couldn't pay me, of course, because it was Free Code Camp, but they gave me exposure, so it was really cool to see my video within the first week see 7,000 views.
Oh my god.
Yeah, when normally my videos have even the best ones have a few hundred.
Yeah, I know. It's hard.
Yeah, and I gained like 85 subscribers, which was just about double what I had before. Yeah, so it was really exciting. It was really cool to see it on another channel like that, and hopefully I'll have more videos go out to them. We'll see.
Nice, that's amazing. Is this gonna steer your attention towards more game development?
I don't know. This is kind of a hobby for me, so I kind of want to just do whatever I feel like doing at the time. I definitely was planning on doing a more advanced series on using like libGDX or possibly Unity. I've never used Unity, but I know it's very popular. But either one would definitely require me to like, for libGDX, I haven't touched it in years, so I would definitely need to revisit it and really work on the content before I start making those videos.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. Definitely want to keep doing like some web development stuff. I'm planning on releasing another Fitbit video this week.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully have a little bit of a Halloween theme to it. So Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's cool. And I remember you tweeted, I think a week ago or like a couple of days ago, that you were trying to diversify yourself, right? Like you were,
Yeah.
I can relate to that. Like you were kind of getting a little bit bored about doing the same things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing web development for several years now.
Yeah.
Before that, I actually did some GTK work, but I think it's changed quite a bit now. I did some GTK with Python,
Wow.
some just random like Python scripting, Perl scripting, and then I kind of moved into web development, and I kind of miss doing some more like desktop stuff or like Android. I messed around with Android and haven't looked at it in probably 4 or 5 years. And now that Kotlin has gained a lot of popularity, I want to check that out. And so there's just a lot of stuff that I want to play with because I don't know, it's just kind of web development. Pick up a new framework, you're doing the same thing with just a little bit different.
That's true. That's something that I noticed. I can totally relate. Other than like, yeah, there are new technologies. I don't know, like the new version of JavaScript or the new framework or whatever, the new package that you can use. After a little bit, it gets kind of repetitive. It gets kind of like boring. That's one of the many reasons why I decided to start coding Linux application and learn Vala and GTK, because it's completely different environment. And I personally, I never coded with a type language. Like I studied at the university C++, but I hated it so much. I didn't use it. So I was like, oh, all the like computer languages are like this. Okay, let's do web. Because it was like really challenging for me. But no, I really love Vala, and I love to like I was able to diversify myself and my skills. It's great. You should definitely do it. One thing, if you like game development, I never tried it, but I wanna give it a shot. Godot engine or Godot, I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
I haven't, no.
Godot engine is an open source game engine for like to build games. It's really similar to Blender, has a lot of they can kind of like collaborate with Blender, and the developer created also some implementation and add-ons for Blender. It's built in Python, I think, and it's getting a lot of momentum and popularity. It's just like a lot of independent studios, independent game artists are using Godot engine to build their games, and it's like seems really powerful.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start our episode. And we don't have a specific topic today because we haven't done a podcast in probably 4 weeks or 2 months. I don't know. Yeah, we're terrible at keeping tabs. Like we're so busy, or we're just lazy. One of the, either or both. It's fine. But there are a lot of news, and the first news that I would love to start with, it's kind of like a weird news that unfortunately, it's happening more and more often in a lot of like, especially like in blockchain or cryptocurrency stuff like that. The fact that the owner or the founder of something suddenly disappears and goes away and takes all the money and everything is a shit show. So it happened last week to the Solus project. Solus is a Linux distribution, kind of like really popular Linux distribution that it's really polished. It's really well received and well considered by the users. And the founder of Solus, Ike, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's like from the like North Europe. Basically, it's been 2 months, is missing, completely disappeared, like off the grid. And the money that Solus was getting via Patreon were actually going directly to his bank account. And the people working at Solus or collaborating, they have no access whatsoever to this money. So the servers of Solus went down for a lot, like for a week, because no one paid the bill. and yeah, so the developers or whoever is left in charge at Solus wrote these lengthy blog post that is not a blog post, it's a transcript of an audio interview of like a half an hour audio interview where they go through the entire process, like what happened when the first thing, like the weird things with the founder of Solus starting to happen, that he was like working less and less on Solus and stuff like that. until the day where he completely disappeared. And he said, like, sorry, I'm sick. I will talk to you tomorrow afternoon. And then after 30 days, no further messages. And they say in this blog post, if you have donations going towards Patreon, just completely cancel it, because all those money, we cannot access them. So, yeah, it's pretty sketchy. What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's, I mean, I don't know. I guess, with open source software, you have to have a lot of trust and a lot of ethics. It's like you may be using a package on NPM and the author may decide, I'm just going to rip this out of here. And all of a sudden.
That's true. That happened in the past, right?
Yeah, it has. And so, same thing with this, where this guy's getting the money and he's, supposed to be using it to hire developers to work on this open source project. And then all of a sudden these guys are out their salary, and people using this software, it's, if the servers go down, parts of it are unusable, or you can't download it, or, it's kind of crazy.
It's pretty crazy. I don't know if that happened in the past with an open source project, with a Linux distribution like that. I know it happened, and we heard a lot about these cryptocurrencies website, that founders of this, or even with Kickstarter campaigns, there were like these stupid fake Kickstarter campaigns getting millions of dollars for a dumbass product, and then completely just shutting down everything and just disappearing and buying a house in Costa Rica, and that's it. That's the objective. But yeah, I don't know if already happened with a Linux distribution. I think this is one of the first time that happens like that, especially because Linux distributions are so open in pretty much everything, in the process, in the source code, in the people that they work for, and the community is really active. So yeah, it's kind of weird, and it makes you think a lot. Like, hopefully it's not gonna damage other Linux distribution, or also the developers that are still working on Solus. They can keep going, because it's actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they can set up their own Patreon or some kind of payment system and get enough people to switch over to it to keep the lights on and to pay everybody and continue on.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Well, whatever. People are garbage, so what can you do? Okay, moving on. So Facebook apparently, allegedly, I'd love to say it, inflated, like immensely inflated video stats of the Facebook platform. So all your videos that are going on Facebook, basically was like Facebook was telling to journalists or like newsrooms and stuff like that, hey, our videos are getting hundreds of thousands and millions of hits per day, and wasn't actually true, like completely false. And you could think maybe, oh, this is not a big deal because everyone inflates kind of like this, the statistics. Analytics are kind of like stupid. If you use them internally, it's good. If you use them to gain more money, it's kind of like, do you really trust it? Especially with Facebook. But the problem is that by doing this, Facebook changed, because of the massive user base and the involvement that they have in everyday lives of everyone, basically drastically caused the firing. Like a lot of journalists lost their jobs because of these video platform that Facebook pushed a lot, because a lot of newsrooms said, okay, so we get 200% more engagement in doing video, we don't need a written piece, we need a video piece, so let's not hire a journalist, let's write a video editor. And so yeah, that's like a lot of, so Facebook is, again, like, was sued because of this, obviously. But I don't think nothing will happen. I don't think it's...
No, I mean, especially when, I mean, how much is Facebook worth nowadays? I mean, how many billions? You know, you sue them for a few $100 million. Okay, whatever. Here you go. Pay it out.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna make it back in the next minute.
Yeah, it's
and then those video views, especially if you're paying for impressions or paying for views, and then they're telling you, oh, you got 3 million views, it's going to cost you this much money, and you're not getting those views, then I mean, that's just fraud.
Yeah, no, I think they are getting sued for fraud, 100%. Yeah. Already when Facebook launched the video stuff, I think in like 2013, 2014. It was like really early. Immediately they were claiming they were having more views than YouTube, which is kind of silly. Like, how is that possible? And then they released the fact like, oh no, actually YouTube consider a view, like a hit of a view, after 10 seconds. If the user plays for more than 10 seconds the video, it's fine. It's a view. It's counted. Facebook counts a view after 3 seconds. So basically, every time you scroll your page and all those stupid videos, they autoplay. There's no way to stop it other than changing the settings of your browser. You scroll through Facebook, those videos starts, and probably you're reading the headline. 3 seconds have passed. That's considered a view.
Or you're reading the next post because you can see like 3 posts on a page.
So it's like it's totally useless for your like the advertiser or the journalist that I want my video to be viewed, but people watch it for 4 seconds. They didn't see anything. They probably didn't even pass through the initial screen of the title of the video, and that's it. But Facebook is like, hey, no, this video was watched 1 million times, so continue. It's just like, it's so stupid. But yeah, so Facebook, it's garbage and keeps getting hacked. Millions of accounts getting hacked, and now also this fake analytics, which is great.
Wow. Way to go, Facebook.
Majestic. Way to go, Zuckerberg. It's like I was listening to a podcast like the Grumpy Old Geeks. It's a really great podcast. These guys, they complain, they rant about everything, but it's so funny. And they said like Facebook is the only company that didn't do anything good in the entire world. What's the good thing that Facebook maybe like helped you to reconnect with your high school friends?
That's about it.
Is that a good thing though?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I pretty much just use it to keep in touch with my family because we all live in various parts of the country. But, other than that, and, with the amount of money they make, I mean, I really look up to people like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
One of the richest men in the world, and he spends so much money on helping people.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Facebook could easily do something like that.
No, let's not.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Okay, well.
So Microsoft announced about the same time last week when the acquisition of GitHub like officially went through that they are open sourcing over 60,000 of their patents.
Wow.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what they're open sourcing. We talked about this several months ago when they, were first getting into open source. We were talking about that and how weird it was for Microsoft to make this switch from being such a closed source company, making money off of, selling you products that you don't have access to the source code, to just being like, here, we've got VS Code, which is open source. Whereas before Visual Studio, if you got like the professional IDE that you would sell to like corporations, it was like, $600 a license or whatever. And now they're open sourcing all these patents. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. I'm hoping they're doing this for good. It'd be really awesome to see things like Excel be open source, and then developers can add plugins for it, and kind of like you do with VS Code. And so yeah, it's interesting to see them move into this model. I mean, I guess they're still going to be very profitable with this.
Oh yeah.
They've definitely moved into building their own hardware now. Like they've got like the Surface laptop that I just recently bought, the Surface tablets and things. So, maybe they're pushing more for the devices and then more open source software. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and we saw that. We talked also about when Microsoft first acquired GitHub, right? You remember we talked about that? It was like, and it was kind of funny, well, not really funny, but there are a lot of like open source projects inside GitHub that they have ongoing lawsuit with Microsoft because of patents infringement. And now Microsoft is releasing all these patents that they have as open source, and it's basically closed a lot of open lawsuits that he was having with these open source projects. And it's, I don't know, I feel like I want to trust Microsoft, but the history, like it's been like, okay, it's been a couple of years that they're doing kind of good, but not really, because of all the spying of Microsoft, like Windows 10, and the fact that just to touch upon that, like the latest couple of updates of Windows 10 completely deleted user data, like the folders and files. So yeah, do you want to trust them? But do you really want to trust them? They're stepping into open source, and there's a lot of like old Linux users that they claim that this is just another strategy for Microsoft to like join the open source movement, extend it, feels like it's doing a great job, and then extinguish it because now Microsoft is the open source.
Yeah. Could be.
Like, what do you think if Microsoft in a year or two said, okay, well, GitHub is not really profitable, let's shut it down, let's all switch to SVN because we like SVN, or whatever it was Microsoft thing. What was that? Net?
Yeah, I think it's called Visual Studio Online, or what was it? It used to be called Team Foundation Server.
TeamViewer, something like that. Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I used to use it. Git was, definitely better with any kind of Git service. But yeah, it is interesting that they bought GitHub even though they have their own source control, and I don't know, I'm hoping that it's good and it's not something malicious like shutting down Linux. I don't think they would, because I know that like the Windows subsystem for Linux is built into Windows 10 now, and it's really cool. I mean, you can use Windows 10 and still run PHP on a Linux on the same computer. Like it's pretty interesting, and it's gotten a lot better over like the last year. So I think that they're doing it for good. I really hope that it's not malicious, but I guess only time will tell.
Oh my God, yes, finger crossed. Well, it's open source, so whatever. If they shut it down, we can fork it and build another version with beers and poker. The other thing that Microsoft is shifting focus. Before it was a lot of like home computer, desktop. Now it's a lot of like cloud. That's why it is like investing a lot in the open source in Linux, because Linux is the cloud. So it's pushing a lot. Microsoft Azure, they announced, I don't know how many months ago, and then nothing, their own Linux operating system, sort of like that AWS EC2, like how's it called, AWS Linux or something. Basically it's a Linux, it's a variation of Ubuntu for AWS. Microsoft wants to do the same. It's a variation of Linux for their own server, so you can access server remotely via SSH and use simple bash commands to manage it. So they're pushing a lot on cloud. And yeah, I heard that the latest version of the Surface Book, it's really good, and it's pleasing a lot of users. You have that, right?
I have the Surface laptop.
How's it treating you?
I really like it. I've been meaning to do a review video, and I haven't done it. I know, I'm terrible. The hardware is fantastic. It has the best screen, the best keyboard, best touchpad next to like an Apple. Like I did a lot of playing around with MacBooks, and I mean the touchpad is definitely better on a Mac, but compared to like the XPS 13 I was messing with, the build quality overall is really, really good. The only problem that I have with it, and I almost returned it because of this, and I decided not to because it's really more for my travel purposes. I have my desktop at home that until I screwed up my hard drive, I was running Windows and Elementary OS. Is that you cannot install Linux on it as a dual boot. There's an issue with the kernel where it can't detect the keyboard. There is an open source project by Jake. Hang on, I'll get it for you.
Yeah, that's a typical Microsoft thing. Like, yeah, get this computer, but we're not really open. You can use it just the way we want it to. That's why you don't trust it.
Jake Day. So he's got a fix that fixes pretty much every other Surface, like the regular Surface Pro, Surface Book. There's an issue still with Surface Laptop that he's working on. That fixes the keyboard issue. Like for some reason, the Ubuntu, I guess it's the bootloader or something, can't detect the keyboard. So I could dual boot it with Elementary and then use an external keyboard. If I was making it on my main computer, I would definitely have like my home set up with like a keyboard and everything. But yeah, that's the main thing that I was like, maybe I should return for the XPS 13, but the battery life and the build quality is so good on that computer. I was like, you know what? It's just for travel. I have the Windows subsystem for Linux, so I can still all do, I've got like Valet running on it.
Oh, nice.
I can run Laravel on it. It works great. It's not as fast as Linux.
Yeah.
I did some side by side with my System 76 running my PHP unit, and it's definitely faster on actual Linux. But it's pretty good. So yeah, I do need to do a review of that laptop.
Yeah.
Hopefully Jake Day will have the fix for the Surface laptop soon.
So what do you think about this thing that, yeah, Microsoft released 60,000 patents and then you cannot install Linux on a Surface Book? Like, it feels kind of like absurd. It's completely the opposite of what they're trying to let us think, what they're trying to do.
Yeah, my guess, I don't know a whole lot about like kernels and like low level stuff like that. My guess is that they were building these devices for Windows, kind of like the Google Pixel is built like directly for Android, nothing else.
Closed hardware,
Yeah, so I'm guessing that they were just really trying to optimize it for Windows, and maybe they just left off the piece for Linux to work with the keyboard, not really as like you can't run Linux on here, but as just like, we're really trying to go for the best performance we can get out of this hardware. That was my guess.
Yeah,
you can definitely run a virtual machine with Linux perfectly fine. But virtual machine versus full boot, really not ideal.
Not comparable. Yeah, you're more optimistic than I am. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. About laptop traveling, I'm seriously considering to sell my System 76 Gazelle, which I love. It's an amazing machine, but it's too big for traveling.
Yeah.
And I've been flying a lot lately, and I want to keep working on a plane, and it's impossible with the current laptop that I have. So I was considering or the Galago Pro from System 76 or the Dell XPS, or just to add to the confusion and uncertainty, Lenovo released the new X1 Carbon, which is stunning, and it's so powerful and so thin and light. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I was really leaning towards the Galago Pro myself. The reason why I didn't was because I read a lot of reviews about the battery life, and that was my one of two big complaints about my System 76 is that it's big and heavy, and the battery life just sucks. Like I even bought a bigger, newer battery, and I still could only get like 2 hours if I was programming.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
Yeah.
So I think, and if System 76 comes out with a better battery system where you can get like 8 hours of battery life, I would totally buy one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially you're traveling like battery life. You don't want to go on sit behind a pillar where there's the only power socket in the entire airport and just fight with the kid that is charging his own Nintendo.
Yes.
Right? That happened? Yes, it happened. Like, hey kid, what are you doing?
That's not important.
It's not important. I'm an adult. I do important things. Just move. Let me go on Twitter. Okay, moving on. WordPress 5 with Gutenberg built in. It's coming soon, right? We got an early beta release or something.
Yeah, it is coming soon. I don't know if you're part of I'm sure you are. On Facebook, there's like a WordPress advanced users group.
No, I'm not.
No, it's pretty good because people post like some really obscure questions that you never think about. And people come up with really clever answers on how to solve it or whatever. And I've noticed a lot of people that have been using Gutenberg and just absolutely hate it.
Really? It's still going strong, the hate?
Yeah, one person the other day said that they were doing a test where they built a really long article, had a lot of blocks. And when you have that many blocks, it was just the load time was horrendous and it was causing bugs. And they were saying that they were just like, I don't think Gutenberg is ready to be the main WordPress editor.
Really? Like, do you remember the size of the article? Like how many blocks they were using?
It was very big. It was definitely bigger than anything I would ever write.
Yeah.
I think maybe they were just stress testing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, my articles are fairly short, have a few images, some code blocks or whatever. So I'm not sure what they're writing, but I have just seen a lot of people that are not happy with it. So
yeah.
It's going to be interesting once they actually do release WordPress 5 and people start upgrading to it who may not have tested.
Yeah.
This is a major. I mean, when was the last major release for WordPress? When did 4.0 come out? It was a long time ago, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I don't remember. Like, I know that 3.7 was almost 12 years ago. So major release like 4.0 was probably around 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm wrong, but yeah, many years ago.
And with it, they claim that WordPress runs like what, a quarter of the internet,
Yeah, like thousands of websites, like 30% of the blogs of the world are on WordPress.
Yeah, I really hope that the upgrade screen has a lot of warnings about, hey, you need to test this stuff, because I can see so many people being like, oh, new update to WordPress. Okay, go ahead and update.
Boom.
No backups, and then
no articles. No backups, no blog posts.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see what happens when it's fully released.
Yeah, well, still, like, hopefully they will keep the option, because right now you have the option to open it with Gutenberg or open it with the old editor. So
that it's just like a plugin,
right? Yeah, exactly. Hopefully they keep that, and
especially
at the beginning they give you the option to switch. But yeah, I noticed, like, I was like, as out of curiosity, I was going back probably like 3 or 4 years ago when I was working at a digital agency, and I was looking at all the client's website, which I shouldn't say, but I still have access to their administration panel because they never changed the password, but whatever, it's on them. And I was checking, and pretty much it was like 99% of those websites, and I checked 12 or 13 websites. Yeah, I'd say 11 out of 12, they had at least 10 updates to do. The version of WordPress were like 4.5, and all the plugins were outdated. So the regular client, if it's not managed by an agency, doesn't update anything. And I think with Gutenberg and WordPress 5, because of this thing, because of the breaking point of the new editor, will cause more and more, like will cause even the kind of like the hacky user to say, yeah, I don't know WordPress, but I'm going to upgrade this new thing. I'm going to try. It won't do it. It's like too sketchy. It's going to, like, already the website is built on outdated components, on outdated code. So it's, I don't know what's going to happen. It's also the thing that I implemented a bunch of a couple of Gutenberg blocks in my AWPS starter theme for WordPress, but once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks I was forced to do a PR or to do a fix and push something, because the API of Gutenberg were completely changing. Like once every 3 weeks they were changing the name, they were changing the syntax, they were changing the way you use things. So it shouldn't be like a software, no matter what, shouldn't change so drastically, so close to being released to be ready for production. That feels like an alpha version that you still don't know how to write it and you still experiment. Instead, it was just like, I don't know, it's dangerous.
Yeah, I haven't played with Gutenberg in many months because of that reason. Like things kept changing, things weren't up to date with documentation. And I was like, well, this isn't working. I'm Googling, I'm copying and pasting the code. Why isn't this working? And so, now that I have a beta, I mean, hopefully it'll stay locked down, but you never know.
No, it's they didn't release a string freeze yet for translation, so I'm worried that things are gonna drastically change from beta 1 to beta 2 to release candidate to the final. And there are a lot of concerns that it's not ready for production, and also the concerns are related to the API. I think we discussed about this in a previous episode, but Gutenberg relies on the REST API of WordPress 100%, because it's all asynchronous calls to get all the data. And the REST API of WordPress have been around for years, but they've never been used so heavily by an internal component of WordPress. And now that they've been used and Gutenberg is tapping them pretty much for every click, the developers started seeing a lot of issues with the REST API itself that they never fully tested and they never fully seen because they never stressed those API enough. So it's a bit of a shit show.
Yeah, I feel like with modern web development, is REST API. I mean, that's pretty much what everybody builds, spas, and I feel like with WordPress, it's like, oh, we have a REST API, but and don't worry about it. Like, it's like they've never really pushed it. Like when you go to like WordPress tutorials, or you look at the codex, like they don't push it at all.
No, it's all synchronous.
Yeah, so it's like they didn't keep up with anything, and all of a sudden they're like, now we do REST API for everything, and and it's just a sudden change. It's
crazy. It's breaking shit up. Yeah, we'll see how many blogs will crush under the weight of Gutenberg. We'll see. I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. Like I already see, for example, like in my company, we have an editor that she writes the blog posts for us. Actually, she doesn't write, but she curates the content of all the content that we give her, and she loves Gutenberg now. Like finally, it's so easy to populate content with blogs and audio. But yes, our blog posts are really short. Top like 1,000 words top. So you have like I don't know, 20 paragraphs and a couple of images. That's it. It's really simple. But if you want to write an article like The Verge, or if you want to do like a content piece or something like really long, yes, that's all API calls, like hundreds of HTTP requests, all managed asynchronous via React. And what's gonna be? It's gonna like Jesus. Well, I guess we will have to wait and see where things start to crumble. But yeah, moving on. Do you know what Civil is?
No, I do not.
Aha. Okay, it's something that I'm going to plug at the end of the episode, but I've been hooked for the past 2 months to a podcast called Zigzag. This podcast was founded by 2 former journalists, like radio journalists, that they wanted to create something to try to save journalism and not rely on advertisers to do journalism. And they joined this Civil, that is a sort of like blockchain-based journalist platform. And their idea behind Civil was like, okay, we're not gonna rely on advertisement or funds to do our journalistic stuff, but we're gonna sell tokens as a cryptocurrency called Civil token. Everything's gonna be based on blockchain, so no one owns anything. It's everything like,
it's all distributed, right?
Exactly. It's all distributed. Users can buy a token, and with that token, other than funding Civil, and we fund the others, like all these radio and podcast and other like journalists, like newsrooms and stuff like that. Every user with a token has voting power. So it's sort of like a micro democracy where you can vote if a news is fake, if something is not true, is not correct, if one specific journalist of one specific news outlet is toxic or is pushing fake news and stuff like that. So the overall idea was kind of like utopia, where everyone has a voting right and everyone collaborates towards the best technology, like, I don't know, best news, like to have the best outcome, right?
But is there a limit to how many tokens you can buy?
Yes, they decided to, there were a lot of rules, a lot of limits. And
I was about to say, because you could have one rich person come in there and be like, I'm only going to push my agenda.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, they didn't want to have any whales. I learned a lot of technical terms. In cryptocurrency, they're like, if you come and you buy like 2 million of tokens and stuff like that, you're called a whale, because you start like grabbing everything that you can. And there are a lot of these whales. They didn't want to have that, so they put some blocks about it. You need to confirm. Basically, in order to buy a token, you had to pass 44 different steps, and also was involving the confirmation of your identity. So you had to upload a passport online, and you had to create like a digital wallet to keep your token. It was like terrible UX, like great idea, terrible execution, and it was a disaster. Like they've been trying to push it for almost probably 6 months a year. Then they opened the token sale. Their goal was like 8 million. They probably made $30,000 or something. It was brutal. It was just really brutal, but it was like sort of like a learning process. And in the podcast, in Zigzag podcast, they did this interview with the CEO, the founder of Civil, and it was like really candid and really open. Like, we failed in so many ways, but it was like a learning process. We know that the idea is valid because we had a lot of like positive feedback in terms of what we stand for, but the execution was really poor. Like it was like just a user experience disaster. But yeah, no, definitely like check the Zigzag podcast. The first season are like 10 episodes. It's really short, and they explain all this thing and why Civil could be the solution for like ethics in journalism and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of like, I was expecting to fail because it was it's a sort of like a niche thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was like newsworthy, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. A lot of people, even like former New York Times journalists, they joined Civil and they were doing something really cool. So hopefully they will be able to do something and then move forward. But yeah. Next bit of news. It's a new. Did you try Laravel Telescope?
I haven't tried it yet. I actually didn't know it was released because I was reading about it during Laracon AU, Australia. And I thought Taylor had said it wasn't going to be released till November. And then right before this podcast, I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's all on GitHub. You can Composer install it.
Yeah.
Everything. I am really excited about this.
Yeah.
I've used the debug bar, Laravel debug bar, which it's good, but it's difficult when you're working with a single page application making tons of requests. So I'm really looking forward to trying Telescope. For those of you that don't know what Telescope is like a full like debug suite for Laravel applications. So you can see all the requests coming in, what events are being triggered by the models, the database queries. I mean, you can see it all. And it looks awesome. Have you played with it yet?
No, I haven't played it, but a lot. I saw the screenshots and I was reading the documentation. Yeah, it does everything that you need, and I'm really excited. I don't know. There's also a part of me that I'm kind of pissed.
Why?
Because there's this. I don't know if you noticed. There's this trend in Laravel that all the packages that someone uses or all the things that you build in Laravel for your own project, after a while, they will be part of a core Laravel package. They will be available as a core Laravel package. And the more and more I use Laravel, the less I code, or I have to code something from scratch. I just install a bunch of packages and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you throw in Nova and Spark and you're done pretty much.
Yes, like also before I remember like when that happened like 6 months ago, we were struggling with the authentication because we want to confirm the user email but also authenticate the user via like automatically via social media login and stuff like that. And then Laravel's like, hey, in 5.7 we have built-in authentication, so you don't need to use any more other packages, or the things that you built don't matter anymore. Like, what?
True. Yeah, but at the same time, like it allows you to build stuff so fast. I mean, that's kind of like the appeal of Laravel. Is
absolutely
how easy it is. Like, oh, I can just say Artisan make me a model, and now I'm making migration, and I can pull stuff from the database and add stuff and delete it, and it's all working in a matter of minutes. But yeah, no, I mean it is kind of like instead of writing code, you're just kind of using these building blocks to put something together.
I'm not complaining too much, but yeah, I'm complaining. But the thing is that I noticed I started using Laravel like 5 years ago, and the more we go on, the less backend I have to code. I'm more and more coding front end with Laravel.
Yeah.
Did you notice?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean,
it's like it's absurd.
Especially with the artisan commands, it bootstraps anything you need. So
it's kind of like, it's weird. I don't know. I have a weird feeling. Like this new Laravel telescope, it's amazing. Something that I always wanted. And as you said, like with single page application, it's really hard to properly debug, especially if you have tons of requests and HTTP requests.
Yeah.
And this is going to be super useful. But there are other packages available, like third-party users work, like they created their own packages for this. And now they're basically, no one's going to use them.
That is very true.
Well,
it is very true.
What can you do? Do you think like that's what Taylor is doing, like waiting for other developers to build something that, hey, I like this, okay, let's put it inside the Laravel core?
I mean, I think he pulls things from other languages. I had read that I've never really worked with Ruby on Rails. I played around with some tutorials online, but never did anything with it. But apparently the Rails community has, like, Rails itself has its own kind of debug suite like this, and that was kind of the inspiration for it. And this package is free, but I'm curious to see if Taylor's going to use this to move into like Blackfire IO or some of these other like debug tools where you hook your application up to their cloud servers, and they manage all of your errors and stuff and give you more feedback on, like, oh, this is your response time. These are the errors you're getting, and these are where users are, your retention is failing. And I'm wondering if he's going to use Telescope to kind of leverage that, like, oh, we now have Cloud Telescope that you can use in your production environments to keep track of things.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about it. I think it's going to go that way for sure. Yeah, there are already some like paid services based on Laravel, like Spark and Nova. What is that? The deployment system built in.
Oh, Forge. Yeah, I really like Forge because I don't like messing with with like DevOps stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm like, I want a new Laravel app on a new server, I just click this button and it's done.
Yeah. I'm gonna in my series of Laravel that I'm gonna plug later, because I'm shameless plugs all the way. I'm gonna, at the end of this year, I don't know what's gonna happen, probably in 25 years, I'm gonna show my setup. So I boot up server, I trigger my Ansible playbook that automatically installs all the things that I need on the server, and then I set up Bodyworks. So whenever I push to a specific GitHub branch, automatically Bodyworks gets triggered and deploys to my server. And that's something that I did and I used to do before Laravel Forge was a thing. And now that Laravel Forge is a thing, I'm so pissed because all my workflows are tied to that specific process. But I want to use Laravel Forge, but I don't want to kill my previous workflows, which I really love. Like, I have full control of this, but Laravel Forge looks so sweet. And it's
so easy to use. I mean, you can, you want to add an SSL cert? Okay, go ahead and click this button, and you now have the, what is it, OpenSSL?
Let's Encrypt.
The free one. Yeah, Let's Encrypt. It just installs it to your server, and you want an SSH key? Like, okay, put your key here for your computer. Now you can SSH into the server securely, and you can even modify the script. You can set it up so that, like you said, you push to a branch, it deploys the code. And you can modify what happens. You can, maybe you want to make sure that Artisan takes the site down at the start of it. So you can do PHP Artisan down, and then while it's deploying, you just get the regular, like, oh, we'll be back shortly message. And it's
that's exactly really what I'm doing on Bodyworks. Exactly the same steps. Damn, it's all right. Well, I guess. Is it true? Like Laravel Forge claims 0 downtime during deployment. Is it true?
I thought that's what Envoyer was for.
Envoyer, oh, that's true. Yeah, that's another one. What's the difference? I'm always confused.
On it, I'm confused by it too. I think Forge is more of like server management, where Envoyer is more of like deployment management.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, the stuff I've got running on Laravel has so few users that I don't care if there's a little hiccup there for a minute
an
when
internal
I'm
project. Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, so I think Envoy is more for like the zero downtime, and I don't really know how that that works.
What the hell? It's magic. Well, whatever. Let's see. Laravel is moving forward so fast. I don't know what's gonna happen or what's gonna be, and I'm sure like in a couple of years we're gonna have just a user interface where you can click, create my website, done, create my marketplace or forum for my users.
And I think I saw on Twitter recently that Taylor just hired another developer.
Oh wow!
So he's got Mohammed, and then I think there was another guy. I'm trying to think of the country he was. I want to say it was in Europe, but yeah, I think he's got 2 developers now working for him full time.
Nice. Oh, that's good. Yeah, we'll see what's gonna happen. Like, I'm actually really happy about Laravel. You said every day it's an amazing tool. So yes,
it's a great framework.
Go on. Yeah, don't listen to my rants. It's fine. Another bit of news about Amazon, because these big companies, they keep screwing us up all the time. Have you ever used their AI face recognition software?
I have not, no.
I used it, unfortunately. I was forced to use it. It's called a Rekognition with K, and it's awful. It's terrible. It doesn't work. It just gives you false positive, and it's terrible. But whatever. Amazon doesn't care because it's trying to sell it to ICE or ICE, the government law enforcement thing that has been on the news lately for all the inhumane things that we're doing at the border. Great people, great guys, and now they want to use facial recognition. So whenever you're walking on the street, oh, you're an illegal immigrant, just get it and just put it in jail like this. The problem is that even Amazon employees themselves are against this, because this software, this AI, it's really in early stages. It doesn't really work. It doesn't recognize faces. It doesn't work as it's claimed to work. And I can confirm it. I used it for work, and we were trying to identify in a video moods and the situation, the expressions, and all this kind of stuff to return proper songs. And the only data that we were having is like, has his eyes closed, doesn't have a mustache, like all these stupid things that are like, it works really badly.
And I mean, if you're gonna bring this to a law enforcement agency, this kind of reminds me of you ever see the movie Minority Report?
Oh yes.
You know, where it's kind of like, oh, we can now fake things, and what if we tell ICE this person is an illegal with criminal background, they've killed people, and then they go out busting the door down, might shoot and kill this person who is really just, you know, one person hacked the system and was like, I want to get this person killed.
Yeah.
You know, it's I think before you start using it in real world situations that are this severe, it needs to be really thoroughly tested. And I mean, with anything can be hacked.
Nothing is safe.
You know, so I don't know. It's kind of a sketchy area there.
Yeah.
Using software like that for law enforcement.
Yeah, it's super sketchy, and it's so dystopian that we're actually living in a dystopian timeline. So we are the dark universe. That's where we're going. You know, like in those Star Trek sci-fi stories, there's always like the mirror universe where everything is dark, everything is terrible. We are that universe. That's where we're living right now. We're seeing the first steps towards a dystopian future where Orwell could just like laugh at us and like, see, I wrote a book about it and you didn't listen. I thought it was fiction. Instead, it was like predicting the future. But yeah, no, it's fantastic how fantastic in an extremely sarcastic way, how all these big companies, they don't really care. Like I can see how like the appeal to a law enforcement branch, someone say, hey, there could be a software that can help you identify, without the human error, identify a person or identify someone, and it's faster and it's easier. There's the appeal that if it really works, that could actually solve a lot of problems.
Definitely, yeah.
But we have like these businesses that they do it just for profit. They honestly, they don't give a shit about the outcome because it doesn't concern them. And they just like, just grab, like, use our software, which is totally in alpha and it doesn't work, but yes, we're willing to sell it to you and participate in a bid for millions of dollars in fundings just because we want more money, just we want to push. Yay, capitalism, and who cares? But
and it seems like all these companies, it's a race to AI, right?
That is true.
I took an AI course back in college back in 2008. And AI then was just a bunch of if statements to make it, well, how do we handle this type of situation? But now we've got like machine learning and, like quantum computing is something that's a reality. And it's, I don't know, I think it's kind of a race to get to that moment of like true AI. And I think when we get there, it's going to be something that we're going to have to be really careful with. We can use it for a lot of great things. We can use it to figure out problems that we can't figure out. But it could also be used against us. So,
definitely.
And it depends, like, what company do you want to be running this? Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft? Who do you trust the most with this kind of stuff?
Pick the lesser evil, right? Yeah, we're at the point. Yeah, no, that's true. And it's absurd that everyone now is pushing the AI without really, like, it doesn't really work. Like, we are not at the point where AI, it's autonomous. It's still trained and controlled and edited by a human. Like, programmers need to check the AI. I don't remember, I don't remember the name, and I want to find the article. If I found it, I'm going to post it in the description of the podcast. But there was this guy that was having this AI firm of like, hey, you send us your data, we analyze it, and we give you a response all to automated artificial intelligence. It turned out had like 600 Indian employees doing the manual work. That's the AI. 600 people doing your Google search, basically. I was like, fuck. That's where we're going, like just putting AI in the term of like the list of offers that you have. Like, we do AI, it's fine. Now blockchain is the hype word. Now if you put blockchain, you're gonna get funded, even if you like decentralized coffee grinder. There you go. Create a new cool startup.
Startup, put it on Kickstarter, fund yourself for $1 million and disappear.
Okay, and the last bit of news for today, it's Gravit Designer wants to go pro for $100 a year starting price.
A year? Wow.
A subscription model, for an Electron app that crashes if you have more than 2 screens.
Now, is this supposed to be kind of a competitor with what's the iOS app?
Sketch.
Sketch, yes.
Yes, it's supposed to. Yeah, you're right. It's supposed to be a competitor, but it's totally not. I use Gravit Designer because it runs on Linux. But yeah, it's an Electron app. It's totally built in JavaScript, and it's slow as hell, heavy as hell, and it's really limited in a lot of things. It's like it's far, far behind any sort of competitor. You can do way better things in Affinity Designer, even if it's not specifically built for UI and UX. It's not. Gravit Designer was acquired by Corel, the same like those people that do Corel Draw and stuff like that. And after that, they immediately released a blog post saying, hey, nothing will change. We'll still develop the free open source. No, not open source. They're not open source. Just the free version of Gravit Designer. But we're going to also see how to implement a pro version so we can get funded and make money. Of course, makes sense. But then now they release some plans for the Pro version, and users are hating it because first, the Pro version doesn't have new features, but actually they're gonna remove features from the free version. So yeah, pay Pro if you wanna keep the same software that it was free before, with less features. And also that they decided to go with a subscription model, $100 a year, while Sketch, that is a far superior software for macOS, it's $90 a year, so it's even $10 cheaper than Gravity Designer, and it's a native application, so it runs stupid fast. Instead, Gravity Designer, as I said, is Electron. So
this is why we need Akira.
Yes. Oh man, I'm building the canvas, and it's happening, but I wasn't expecting to do so much math. Just seriously, like calculating the shit. How complicated it is to calculate the rotation of a square and be sure that the knobs, those little squares that you click to resize it, they follow the rotation and the coordinates, and they don't go wherever they want.
I have an idea what you're talking about from in the past when I've done some game development. Like if you want, okay, this thing's gonna track you and then shoot something at you. Like, okay, well, what angle is it? Okay, now what line does that follow? And
X, Y, Z. It's like,
it's stupid math.
It's so complicated. Yeah, no, I have the amazing Felipe Scoto, the developer from Elementary, that is helping me to figure out the math, and he's a genius. He's a kid. He's like 23 years old or something. And he's a stupid genius. I hate him and I love him so much. But he's writing, like, he needs to write math on a piece of paper and do the calculation before writing the code. It's just so complicated. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so that's why we need Akira. We need at least, like, I will be willing to pay $100 for Gravity Designer if it was first a real Pro version. So more features, extra things that we don't have in the free version right now, and if it was a native application built in, like Krita. Krita is built in Qt, and it's native. It's not built on web technologies, so it's massively big, has thousands of features, but it's fast, it's stable. Or if it was like, I don't know, like Blender built in Python, those are like things that you're willing to pay because they're stable. The code is solid. It's not just like a website wrapped around a container.
Yeah, I mean, Blender is very powerful. I cannot imagine if it was an Electron app, it would just crash and burn.
Yeah, kill your computer at once. Launch it and die. That's it. Wow. Well, that's the full list of news for this episode. We got a couple of questions from the audience, and the first one I'm gonna redirect it to you because I have an answer, but I'm not really an expert in this. The first question comes from Merve Otsurk. It's a user that is following my plugin series for WordPress, and he's asking, is it good or bad using singleton structure instead of creating every time a new object with like a new class, a new instance?
Yeah, this is a really good question. With like modern PHP is just stupid fast. And unless you are like doing some really heavy calculations and really just a lot of like heavy duty processes, you're not going to notice a difference. Yes, a singleton is better because you're going to create this object in memory, and then anytime you need to grab something from it or have it do something, you can just access it directly from memory. So that's the fastest way, as opposed to creating a new object where where the computer has to actually find a place in memory, allocate it, create the object there. Which nowadays is so fast that you're not even going to notice it. But a singleton would be ideal in that situation.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not an expert in this because since I started using PHP, I never had like the necessity of using singletons. As you said, it was like I never built that big of an application that required so much like handling data through memory, like cache memory, because it was just like too big. So yeah, I never professionally used singletons. I actually started using singletons for Linux applications. for a really specific reason. Like for example, like SQLer or Akira, you can open multiple windows, and if you change the settings from a window, all the other windows should reflect the same settings. So if the global settings is don't show the labels or change the icons or I want a dark mode, you cannot create a new instance of the settings per window. Everything should relate to the global settings of the application. So that's why in that case, using a singleton, it's good because it's just one instance and you reuse the same instance without creating a new one every time. But yeah, no, in PHP, I never actually used singletons because I don't
think I've ever done it in PHP either. Definitely done it in C#.
Yeah.
Definitely done them in JavaScript too. But I don't think I've ever done it in PHP.
Nice, good. Hopefully we answer your question, Merve. Yeah. The second question that we got is from Asad Hudzaman. Which one is better, Sass or Less? I don't know. They do exactly the same. They compile exactly the same way. I would say Post CSS is better, but whatever.
Yeah, I've read articles that say Sass is better, but honestly, they do the same thing. As long as you're using some kind of preprocessor, you're doing something right.
Yeah, no, exactly.
If you're still using just plain CSS, definitely take a look at something. But yeah, if you're already comfortable with Less, stick with Less. If you're comfortable with Sass, stick with Sass. I mean, going back and forth between the two, there's some differences, but at the end of the day, they're doing the same thing. Yeah. So Sass is built on Ruby, I believe. And
it's not going to be anymore.
It's not going to be?
Yeah, in 2020 or something. Like here, it's already deprecated. You can install Sass, I think, via Composer, Homebrew in macOS. In, I don't know, in a year or two, it's going to be completely deprecated and out of Ruby. So you can install it independently.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Very cool.
It's pretty fun. Less coding syntax confuses me because it doesn't use the curly brackets. It just uses indentation. So it's just confusing for me. I prefer Sass, but yeah, that's exactly identical. Yeah.
You can do it with the Sass too. Like if you have a SASS packet or file, it just uses the indentations. But if you do SCSS, it uses the brackets.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, probably I'm getting confused with that. So yeah, no.
Yeah, but I know Less. One weird thing about Less is that the variables use the @ symbol instead of the $.
Oh.
Which CSS already uses for things like keyframes and media queries. So that's a little bizarre that it's using the same thing.
Definitely bizarre. Yes, that's true. Well, I think that's it for the show for today. We're almost at the end, and there's a new segment at the end of the show. I don't know why I put it there, but whatever. I was thinking maybe before concluding, we could suggest something to read, to listen, to watch, something for the audience until the next episode that I'm not sure when it's going to be. But do you have any recommendation for our audience?
I do. This is a book that I read about half of it several years ago, and then it disappeared. I actually found it again when I moved here.
Disappeared in a bookshelf or in a box or that?
It ended up in a box, and then when we moved and I unpacked the box, I was like, oh, it's my book. That is The Pragmatic Programmer by Andrew Hunt and David Thomas. They have code examples. I think it's in like Java or C or something. It's an old book, but they talk a lot about just concepts of like how you should think about a problem, and not just like code problems, but also about like work things, like how to deal with change or to influence change to kind of get what you want. Like,
nice.
Your company may be pushing you to use a certain technology, you want to use something else. How do you make change happen? You can't do it just instantly. You have to do it over time. So it's just kind of a good book to get you thinking about more like the big picture of coding as opposed to just focusing on your little problems you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It kind of relates to the problem of today that a lot of users, they learn first the tools or the frameworks, and they don't learn the basics, or they don't learn the logic behind some decisions. So when there's a new framework coming out or a new tool, they're completely baffled or like confused because they don't know how to solve the same problem with another tool. So you should first understand the problem and understand the logic, and yeah, it's really interesting. And never heard about this book, but it'll definitely. Do you know if there's an audiobook from this?
I don't know if there's an audiobook. I know Amazon sells a like a digital copy you can download.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's actually cheaper than the actual physical copy.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they do have copies of that you can get, but I'm not sure if there's an audio. It'd be interesting.
A programmatic program from journeyman to master, is that one?
Yes.
Yeah, from Andrew Hunt. Oh wow, the paperback is $55. Well, it
was not that expensive when I bought it.
It's Canadian dollars.
I think I paid like 25 or 30 for it.
Damn.
Years ago.
That's heavy. Okay. Well, it's the new edition, so. Oh no, it's from October 1999. Oh yeah. Why it's so expensive?
I don't know. I think it's gained popularity over the years. So.
Because of this podcast? Yeah.
Because of us, yeah.
Because you said it, and now just Amazon heard us and just spiked the price immediately.
Right.
Damn, Amazon, always thinking about the money, hey? From me, a couple of recommendations. Of course, check my Laravel series that I just started. I have 2 new videos that I'm gonna release next week, and it's gonna be juicy. We're gonna start understanding how controllers work and how to run our first database migration, because after that we can finally start using models, and we're gonna complete our overview of the MVC structure, which is gonna be really, really fun. And then if you want to learn a little bit about blockchain, what it is, then the civil thing, shenanigans, and if this new journalistic venture of having ethics and building journalism via ethic, check the Zigzag podcast, because it was really fun. The 2 hosts, owners, creators are 2 amazing women that they're documenting their life in starting this new business and considering investors or doing their own things, and it's really touching, and it's really interesting. Like, definitely check it out when you walk your dog or just like you don't know what to do. Just listen to Zigzag podcast. It's so good. And I think that's it. I think we did it. Yay!
Yay.
Episode 36. So where can we find you, Chris?
You can find me on Twitter at Chris J. Perko. You can find me on YouTube. I'm sure Alex put a link in the description.
Yes.
You can find me at chrisperko.net. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Oh, nice. What can we expect from your YouTube channel now soon?
Well, I'm going to be doing more Fitbit stuff. I've really been enjoying working with that.
Nice.
Eventually getting back into game development, doing some more intermediate stuff, doing cross-platform stuff for like Android, iOS, PC.
Oh, nice.
And just kind of just whatever sounds like fun at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good plan. Fantastic. Yes, you can find all the links in the description below the video, including a timestamp with all the topics and links to the articles that we touched upon. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, all these stupid social networks are around the world. And if you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, or now it's Apple Podcasts, yeah, they're rebranded once again, Apple Podcasts, give us a review. Put a 1 star, 5 star, 0 stars, whatever, and write why you hate us or why you love us. But let us know. Just like, yeah, give us a call. Let us know how you're doing. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Until the next one, happy coding. Enjoy. You, Chris, you want to say your tagline?
Yeah, it's different every time. For those of you who participated, happy Hacktoberfest.
Oh, nice. That's a good tagline. Okay, bye-bye.